Yeah, I feel like it's no pressure on me. You know, the only pressure on me is when I put pressure on myself. You know, that's why I'm not going out here and saying I'm gonna knock him out or anything like that.
I'm saying we was getting prepared for a Roach, and then we got blessed with this fight. That's how I look at it, you know.
The boxing world is losing its mind. Jake Paul versus Tank Davis is actually happening, and nobody can believe it. Both men have been training like their lives depend on it. When that bell rings, there's nowhere to hide. One fighter has speed and years of experience. The other has size and power that can end the night in seconds. This is the fight that could change everything. Now here's where it gets interesting. Calvin Ford spoke up when he first heard about this matchup, and what he said caught everyone's attention. He believes this fight can really happen because both guys bring something real to the table. Tank has the experience and the power that comes from years in the ring. Jake is climbing fast, going from amateur to someone people actually take seriously. But Ford mentioned something most people ignore. Those small details like training gloves being heavier than fight gloves can actually flip the script when it counts.
Actually, when I heard about the fight, they called me and said, what you thought about the fight? I said, the fight doable. You know what I'm saying? Because I watched Tanky for years, and I watched other young men in gyms, you know, deal with big guys. You know what I'm saying? Yes, he's big. To me, it's like Jake having his first open fights. If anybody know about the amateurs going open, then you go pro. So, you know, he's a great fighter guy that does have skills. You know what I'm saying? My only concern is, you know, the gloves. You understand what I'm saying? Because we don't fight in 12-ounce gloves. We don't use 12-ounce gloves. That's training gloves, you know what I'm saying?
Think about that for a second. Something as simple as glove weight could be the difference between winning and losing. Ford knows what he's talking about, and his insight shows just how much preparation matters. Both fighters need to be ready for everything, because one mistake could cost them the fight. But there's more to this story. Calvin broke down how they might adjust glove weight to keep things fair. Tank isn't worried about switching gloves, which tells you everything about his confidence level. Ford made it clear that being great means you don't run from challenges. You face them head on. Both Jake and Tank are willing to do whatever it takes, which means this fight is going to be balanced, competitive, and absolutely brutal.
I'm like, that's 2 pounds away from Jake. He fights in 10s. Tank fighting 8s, so he losing 4 ounces. So my thing is, I said, they said, put Tank in 8s, put him in 10s. That makes the fight more interesting. You know what I'm saying? And we'll go from there, because I understand. And I brought that question up to one of his handlers. They was, no, we don't want to do no mixed match. It's supposed to be an expedition. What, you know, now y'all want the wins and the loss. You know what I'm saying? All these prescriptions, but you want to be great. Being great is really pushing the envelope. You know what I'm saying? You know, Tank don't really care, you know? So when I brought this up, he said, dang, facts. You know what I'm saying? So, again, you know, he can weigh the 10s and we weigh the 8s.
So now we know both fighters are locked in and ready to adjust. Their skills will be tested, their strategies will be pushed to the limit, and those tiny details might just decide who walks out with their hand raised. This brings us to what Showbiz the Adult had to say, and he didn't hold back. Even though this is labeled an exhibition, Jake Paul is coming to win. His whole brand depends on it. Showbiz warned that Tank can't afford to be nice or take it easy. If he does, Jake will pounce on every opening and make him pay for it. Jake fights like his career is on the line every single time.
Jake Paul is an opportunist. We know this is an exhibition, but Jake Paul is about his bottom line and MVP's bottom line. And if that means sacrifice Tank by knocking his ass over the top rope, Jake Paul is going to deliberately do it. He's going to go out there to knock him out. I promise you. That's why I'm telling Tank Davis, don't bull jive. See, there's a lot of people eating off of Tank Davis right now because, like Calvin Ford said, Tank, you're being too nice. Where's the beast at? Grow your mane back out.
Showbiz is backing up what Ford already said. Tank needs to stay sharp and aggressive. Jake will look for any weakness and exploit it without hesitation. Tank has to match that energy and stay one step ahead, or this could go very wrong for him. Meanwhile, fans are finally getting what they've been waiting for. Footage of Gervonta Davis training for Jake Paul just dropped, and people are going crazy. We haven't seen much of his preparation until now, so this is huge. Everyone wants to see how he's sharpening his speed, working on his power, and getting ready to handle Jake's unpredictable fighting style. This first look proves Davis isn't playing around. He's putting in serious work, and fans can see the intensity in his training. The man is locked in and ready to show Jake what real boxing looks like. Now let's talk about what Benavidez Sr. said, because it adds another layer to this whole thing. He discussed why this fight matters beyond just two guys throwing punches. Yes, some people question whether it's legitimate, but Benavidez pointed out that Jake's massive following brings millions of eyes to boxing. Fighters who need exposure get it. Fans who don't normally watch boxing will tune in. This is entertainment on a huge scale.
Entertaining fight, to be honest. Jake Paul has a lot of followings, a lot of guys that are going to come and watch, and that gives the opportunity for other fighters to be seen on those cards, you know. So a lot of people don't agree, but at the end of the day, for me, it's entertainment. And if we can take boxing to the next level and give other fighters opportunities to be displayed and for other people, YouTubers and all that, to be seen, and hopefully all the YouTubers and people that are just there, not just for boxing, can continue watching boxing.
Benavidez sees the bigger picture here. This fight isn't just about Tank versus Jake. It's about growing the sport and giving other fighters a platform. Fans from all over will watch, making this bigger than just one night in the ring. And here's where it gets even more unpredictable. Benavidez talked about how unusual this matchup really is. Jake is way bigger. Tank is faster and more skilled. Because of that size and style clash, anything can happen. Nobody knows how this will play out, and both fighters could shock everyone watching.
Do you expect Jake to win because he's so much bigger, or do you think Tank, just being Tank, you know, is gonna have his way? Like, it's weird, right? 50 pounds.
It's super weird, man. You know, super tall. I don't know what's gonna happen, man. Like, at the end of the day, you know, it's gonna be entertaining. I want to see what happens there, and we might have a surprise. Or, I mean, either way, it's gonna be a surprise. If Tank can knock out Jake Paul, or Jake Paul can knock out Tank, is gonna be like weird and exciting and surprised. You know, everybody's gonna be surprised on whatever happens.
Benavidez believes this fight could go either way. The size difference and contrasting styles create chaos. Fans should expect the unexpected, because this fight is going to deliver surprises that nobody sees coming, but not everyone is buying the hype. Paulie Malignaggi spoke out about Jake Paul being called the face of boxing, and he didn't mince words. He said it's shocking that someone with so little real fighting experience gets that label. Malignaggi pointed out that social media and hype can make anyone famous, but that doesn't mean they've earned it. He questioned why Jake keeps getting promoted when he hasn't faced truly dangerous opponents.
I mean, if that's the face of boxing, either the fans have gone down to the dumbest level possible, or the media themselves have gone down to the dumbest level possible for naming this guy as the face of boxing. I understand we don't have anything. The fact that maybe this is the biggest marquee name in the West at the moment, right, is certainly disturbing. But it also shows you that you can make anything into a star at this point because of the technology, the social media effect, and all this other stuff. The push can be given to anybody. The question, and we should be asking, is why was this guy pushed? Why was this guy pushed despite never being in a 50-50 fight? Why was he pushed?
Malignaggi is calling out the hard truth. Hype and followers don't equal skill. He slammed the trend of fighters getting pushed to the top without proving themselves. He also criticized champions for ditching their belts to chase money fights with Jake Paul, saying it damages the sport, the fans, and those working behind the scenes. Champions should focus on real fights, not just paychecks and fame.
Jake Paul, go ahead. Go F off and fight Jake Paul and retire for all we care. But now you held the title in limbo. Your title is not going to become vacant for him fighting Jake Paul. So you get Lamont Roche is going another direction completely. At least give the decision to Roach, and then this guy goes fights Jake Paul, and whatever he wants to do, he does. Instead, you let him keep the title, and he's going to go fight Jake Paul and not give us the rematch. So, I mean, you're just kicking boxing in the teeth after everything it did for you.
Malignaggi isn't holding back. He says chasing hype fights over titles is killing boxing. The sport and fans deserve real competition, not circus acts. Chris Algieri explains why Tank Davis is taking the Jake Paul fight. Tank's passion is fading. He backed out of a rematch with Roach, and this fight is all about cashing out.
I thought this was all going to be in the works, where he was supposed to beat the 16-1 Roach and then go on to fight Jake Paul and then call it a career, because I think the people around him understood there wasn't much left in the tank for him in terms of his want or his desire to be here. He did an interview with Dan Canobio about 18 months ago where he was like, yeah, man, I just kind of want to raise my family. I don't know how much left of boxing for me. I don't want to see a therapist. I want to, I need to, but like, I don't want to take away from my fighting. But I think it's time for me to do stuff like that. So I think the writing's been on the wall for Tank for a while. So that draw was kind of just like, I was on the way out anyway. I don't need to go back in there. And I said it at the end of that fight. I'm like, there's no way we see that rematch. He was so uncomfortable in that ring with Roach. He doesn't want to feel that again. He showed that night. So I'm not surprised that fight's not happening. I'm not even surprised he's fighting Jake Paul now. It's a cash out.
Algieri says it's a business move. Tank isn't proving himself, just chasing payday and life after boxing. Fans should see this fight as securing his future, not building his legacy. Oscar De La Hoya agrees Tank's talented and exciting, but not boxing's face yet. He needs to fight more often because talent alone isn't enough without staying active.
Tank Davis is not the face of boxing because he doesn't fight often. He fights once a year. And he's probably one of the best talents in the world. I love Tank Davis. I love watching him fight. I love when he goes in the ring and just demonstrates power and speed and he doesn't give a shit. I love that. But he has to fight more often. We want to see Tank fight 3-4 times a year. Tank Davis, I dare you to break my record. 5 world title fights in 1 year. Let's go. You think he's lost?
De La Hoya stressed Tank must fight more. Talent alone won't make him boxing's face. Fans want consistent action. Teddy Atlas added a reality check. Contracts aren't just money. They involve glove size, ring size, and safety. He warned Tank to be fully prepared since Jake hits hard, or it could get dangerous.
First thing I think about, you talked about the zeros in the contract, you talked about all those things, right? They should also have like the size of the ring, the size of the glove, all that stuff particulars should be in the contract. But I would probably look for one thing that is not the common thing to have in a contract if I'm Tank. A ladder. A ladder. Can I get a ladder? Somebody? You know what I mean? Hey, look, if he hits him on the chin the way he can punch, Jake might be doing a dance. You know what I mean? Not voluntarily either. But we'll get into that more later.
Atlas knows what he's talking about. Small adjustments in the contract can make or break a fighter's safety. Tank has to focus on preparation and strategy because Jake's size and power are no joke. Atlas kept going, diving deeper into the size issue. He explained that while smaller fighters can sometimes pull off upsets, this situation is different. Jake's height and weight give him a real advantage. Tank is skilled and experienced, but that might not be enough. He'll need a smart game plan and perfect execution to overcome the physical mismatch.
More later. The thing that I'm talking about right here is what you said. It was stark. The size difference was really, you couldn't ignore it. We understand the talent difference, the experience difference. We understand all of that. But the size, the pure, and we understand small guys can beat big guys. We just saw Crawford do it to Canelo, but a little different. The size difference was, it was eye-catching, jaw-dropping, and it made me think. And I'm gonna ask Richie, our man here who's doing all the taping, who does such a marvelous job.
Atlas is warning everyone, size matters here. Skill can only take you so far against a much bigger opponent. Tank has to be strategic and cautious, or he could get hurt. This is the most dangerous fight of his career. Roy Jones Jr. offered a different perspective that makes you think. He said most exhibitions are just for show with no real substance. But this one is different. Tank's genuine skill and power make this fight legitimate. People can see real boxing ability on display, which gives this matchup more credibility than typical celebrity bouts.
Want to go through and learn more, then he might not knock him out. You understand me? But if they do it for real, Tank is highly capable of taking Jake Paul out. So the exhibitions that I like to see are ones that either I can mythically look at and say, wow, well, if he would have did that back when he was 10 years younger or 8 years or 12 years ago, he would have beat him. You understand me? Because we know boxing. We can see what the landscape looks like without even seeing it. You understand me? So an exhibition amongst two people that are that or were that, or one that is that and one that was that tells people that know the game, that tells us a lot.
Jones sees something real here. This isn't just a cash grab or publicity stunt. Tank's ability makes this fight meaningful, and fans will witness actual skill and competition. Andre Ward added his thoughts on experience, and it's something everyone needs to hear. He explained that Tank has been training with bigger, stronger opponents for years. Jake is learning and getting better, but Tank's time in the gym with elite competition gives him a massive edge. He knows how to handle power and size in ways Jake doesn't.
Like we did 8, 9, 10. We got too much time in. Jake will never catch up to that.
Nope.
He'll never catch up to that. We just got too much time in.
Yep.
But I've always tipped the hat to him because he is in the gym with a real boxing team. I know the BJ Flores, J. Leon Love, and a few others he got in there, and he's got real fighters in there. He's getting the black eyes, he's getting the marks, he's trying to become better, and he's respectable enough where if you foolish, you can get knocked out, you can get hurt with that right hand. I don't know if he's gonna land that with Gervonta Davis, but the size difference is enough where if he does land, he can hurt Gervonta. But Gervonta has been fighting bigger guys and sparring bigger guys his whole life. That's what people don't understand. They keep talking about weight classes are there for a reason. That's true. But some guys, and I said this about Crawford, some guys been beating up on big dudes for a long time. They've been sparring light heavies and heavies for a long time. This ain't nothing new.
Ward highlighted Tank's biggest advantage, experience. While Jake is improving quickly, Tank's years of high-level training prepare him for big moments. He's been in the deep end before. Ward also noted Tank's mindset has shifted. He's no longer just fighting for wins, but focusing on his legacy, brand, and financial future. Money and security outside the ring now influence his decisions.
The last time I've heard Gervonta Davis talk about his legacy in the ring, like I'm building my legacy, I'm trying to outdo Floyd in legacy. Like, I think it started like that for him. But the influence of Floyd Mayweather, Money Man, not Pretty Boy, but the Money Man, and building your brand and selling tickets and selling pay-per-views and becoming a household name, that's also a legacy. You got the legacy in the ring and you got the legacy in terms of how you sold. I believe Gervonta Davis is more focused on selling tickets and making money and securing his future for himself and his family. He said it out of his own mouth. I ain't got nothing else to prove. Well, depends on what your goal is. It depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to be one of the greatest fighters of all time, it's still a whole lot to prove.
Ward says Tank's focus now is building wealth and securing his future, not just championships. Explaining the Jake Paul fight, Showbiz the adult adds the emotional side. Tank feels pressure from the boxing world and rising fighters. His choice isn't just about money, it's personal and driven by insecurity too.
Hey, I'm speaking to you, brother. Gervonta, you're having a temper tantrum. You're having a damn temper tantrum about this fight because you don't feel good about it. Or exhibition, or event, or circus, or whatever you guys want to call it, all right, with Jake Paul. And it's because you feel insecure. You don't feel confident about the decision that you're making to fight Jake Paul. We all know why you're doing it. We all know, many of us, we actually get it, all right? But the thing is, Tank, you feel insecure because you're a part of the boxing culture. You came up with these young guys. You feel like they're big brothers, Shakur, Devin Haney, Tia, all those guys, and those guys are starting to surpass you now. all right? And the type of moves that you're making, you just don't feel secure about it. Lamont Roach had a draw with you, you took a knee, and you're in a low spot, and right now...
Showbiz just exposed the real reason behind this fight. Tank is feeling the heat from his peers and the boxing world. This decision isn't purely financial. There's emotion, pressure, and personal stakes involved that make this fight even more complicated. Here's the bottom line. This fight is bigger than anyone expected. Tank Davis brings speed, experience, and proven skill. Jake Paul brings size, power, and the ability to shock everyone. Every single punch will matter. Every move could be the difference. This fight will test everything both men have: their strategy, their preparation, and their heart. Tank's legacy is on the line. Jake's credibility as a real fighter is on the line. This is going to be wild, unpredictable, and absolutely must watch. So here's the question. Who are you betting on? Tank Davis with his elite speed and boxing IQ, or Jake Paul using his size and knockout power? Drop your answer in the comments right now.